Hello everyone out there, this is Mrs. Dragoo, and in musical theater we are going to start learning to read music. The reason that we're going to do this is because as a performer you should be able to read the music that you're supposed to learn to sing. If you can't read music, it makes your job as a performer more difficult, and it makes the job of the music director more difficult. So we're going to start with basic music theory. Music theory is pretty difficult as you go along, and learning music is like learning a whole new language. When I was in college, we had to take music theory, and only 1 hour at a time. It got really difficult, and it was the class that everyone dreaded. But I'm not telling you that to scare you. I'm telling you that so that you'll know that I think we can make it very simple. This will be what I call music theory for the musical theater performer, okay? Before we get started, what I would like to do is just take a few minutes to focus. It's really hard when we're having to learn from home or learn on video. So what I want to do is just ask you to get comfortable, but put everything that might distract you aside. Put your phone away, turn off your TV, and focus on the lesson. Let's do that by taking a few deep breaths, okay? Everybody inhale through your nose and exhale. Again, let's do that thinking about focus. Inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. If you're tight in your shoulders, maybe you roll your shoulders. I need to roll my neck. Okay, here we go. Today we're going to be learning about staff, clefs, and ledger lines. This is not difficult, but it's going to take your focus. Okay, what you're looking at right in front of you is what's called a staff. The staff is the foundation upon which all notes are drawn or written. And our modern staff is comprised of 5 lines and 4 spaces. Every line and space on the staff represents a white key on the piano. Okay, see in this illustration, as the notes go up the staff, it corresponds with a note on the piano, a white key on the piano. All right, so that's the staff. 5 lines, 4 spaces. Every line and space corresponds with a white key on the piano. The clef is the individual symbol that tells us what notes are on which lines. Okay, clefs assign individual notes to certain lines and spaces, and we have 2 clefs. One is the treble clef, and one is the bass clef. Most musical theater performers are going to sing on the treble clef. First, let's discuss this treble clef. It's also called the G clef. The line which the clef wraps around, shown in red there, is the G note, and so we call this the G clef. The notes on the space above that G is an A. Remember, there's no H. There's only 8 letters in the musical alphabet, so the next we have to start over after G. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So the line above the A is the B, and then that process continues to where you see all the notes on the lines and stuff. The only thing that's left off is the very first line below the G. The space is an F, and the line is an E. So you can go up and you can go down. So what happens though when we run out of space on this staff? We have what's called a ledger line. This ledger line will solve the problem of running out of space on the staff. It's a small line that extends the staff and allows the notes to continue to go up without having to draw more lines to create a bigger staff, right? So the next note above that G would be A. We continue our spaces and lines as we add ledger lines to our staff. Ledger lines can also go below the staff as well. So if you look at this treble clef, you've got 8 notes and repeating, okay? The space below the first G there on the left is an F. If you look at all the spaces on this treble clef, you can spell the word face, A, C, E. So the spaces on the treble clef spell the word face. That's how you can remember what those space notes are, right? If you look at all the lines on the treble clef, we have E, G, B, D, F, right? Think of every good boy does fine. E, every, G, good, B, boy, D does, F, fine. Every good boy does fine. Those are the lines on the treble clef. So now let's look at the bass clef. Musical theater performers only need to really learn the bass clef if you're going to play a bass instrument. So a bass clef is also known as an F clef because the line between the two dots on the bass clef is the F. And now, since we know the F, we can fill in the rest of the notes on that staff. It's just like the treble clef in that we only use the 8 letters. Okay, finally, let's discuss the grandstaff. If you look here, a grandstaff is a theoretical staff that consists of 11 lines. It's hard to look at a piece of music with 11 lines, so what we do is we eliminate that middle line and we end up with 2 5-line 4-space clefs and what are staffs. And then what we do is we add the treble clef to the top staff and the bass clef to the bottom staff. And then remember that ledger line? Notice that the 2 staffs are connected with a ledger line. This is shown in red and it's known as middle C. That's what we call it, middle C. It is the middle C on the piano and it's the C that connects the 2 clefs. All right, so I want to go back and review for a few minutes. We have what's known as a staff, right? And it has 5 lines and 4 spaces. We assign clefs, both the treble clef and the bass clef, to the staffs. The notes that appear on the treble clef begin with G because the G line is our first line that wraps, or the treble circle wraps around the G, so that allows us to have a reference. The spaces on the treble clef spell face. The lines on the treble clef represent every good boy does fine. We use a ledger line above the staff to represent the next note in our sequence. Okay. We have a grandstaff that is a theoretical staff, and when we take out the middle line, we have 2 separate staffs that we label treble and bass. And then we use the ledger line C to connect both of them. Okay, this is going to help you as you begin to learn how to read music. This is just the very beginning. I'm going to post more lessons on reading music. And what I would like for you to do is notice that at the top of the screen, I'm on a website called musictheory.net. I encourage you now to go to musictheory.net and do some of the exercises that are there to help you practice learning music. This takes practice over and over, daily repetition of learning to read music. Because it's a new language. It really is. You're learning a new language that you can apply to your vocal technique, okay? So for today, what I'd like for you to do is go to musictheory.net and do some of the lesson exercises to help you review what we've done and become very familiar with all the notes on the treble and the bass clef. All right, everyone, have a good day, and I'll see you next time.